Hi, thanks for joining us on Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, an NOCS Heart podcast that allows us to make the mental health victories of everyday Ghanaians accessible, relevant, and relatable. We hope that you enjoy listening to us and learning lots, and we hope you do come back again to learn some more. Now, today's episode. Hi, Dr. Aram, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you, how are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. It's so great to have you on Calm Hearts, Calm Minds. I think we are both excited. The stories, the drama that has occurred before we've had this session is great. And for those
Yeah,
watching for the first time, and if you're watching this on 10th October, World Mental Health Day, we are totally excited to share our first episode with you. Uh,
yes,
very, very happy to have Dr. Aram Ese Awusanya Susu. I know I've murdered the name, so I'll let her introduce herself. We are going to be talking about can you combat workplace burnout and such
yeah,
an apt topic for this year's World Mental Health Day theme, which is it's time to prioritize mental health in the workplace. I don't want to steal her thunder, but if she doesn't mention it, I'll mention something that gets me really excited to have her on this event. But relax, it's not anything scary. Let's just say she's an expert in what we are about to talk about, and she
uh-huh.
studied it extensively. So yes, Dr. Aram, please tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Aram Isi Awusanya Susu. I'm a second year resident. So residency is like training to become a specialist psychiatrist. So I'm in my second year. Currently with the Kolibu Teaching Hospital. That's where I'm based currently, and that's where I work, and that's where I'm also learning as well. So I've been doing psychiatry, I think, since 2022, but then I've been a medical doctor since 2019. So I think it's a bit of both. So we did a general practitioner for some time, and then we've gone back to school to specialize. Yeah. So that's basically about me. Yes.
Nice one. I think it's as I grew older that I started meeting more and more people who were choosing
Yeah.
to do psychiatry because for me, I either knew a psychiatrist, but I didn't know people who were choosing to do it. So it's always nice to meet one. I almost became one, but then that's
Oh,
sorry for another and long story for another day. But please tell us why this topic about workplace burnout is important to you.
okay. So it's important to me because when I was practicing, even as a general practitioner, I had the opportunity to hold some talks in some workplaces. And most of the times, most of the things that were coming out were, oh, burnout, they're tired from work, they are losing interest in the work and all of those things. So when we're holding the talks from the mental health point of view, we always try to give some advice and some tips to the people who are working in the places on how to combat some of these symptoms of burnout and symptoms of stress. I mean, being in Accra already is stressful. There are so many things that are going on in Ghana
Mhm.
as we speak that are stressful, that are causing anxiety across board. There's very little, there's so much ambiguity and very little stability in terms of economics, in terms of even family life for some people. People
Mm.
are going through it. And unfortunately, work does not always, I mean, work is not always supposed to provide a safe haven because it's work. But then sometimes work tends to be an additional trigger, which is not so good. You know, if you are leaving the issues at home and you go to work, you don't have to face extra triggers at work, you know. So it's trying to find some sort of a balance if something like that exists. And it has been on my heart. And I mean, a lot of people may not identify with some severe mental health disorders or some mental health illnesses. They will not identify. But then when you talk about stress and burnout, almost everybody in
How
Accra.
are you? I'm stressed.
Yes, they'll say it, you see. So that's why it's the topic dear to my heart. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you mentioned that some people won't identify with it. Some people don't even have mental illnesses, and some people don't even identify with the fact that they are mental strains that are not illnesses. But when you say you're stressed or you're burnt out, even burnout, some people go like, nah, not me. But when you say you're stressed, people can relate. So I'm really happy we have time to unpack this. And for those who don't know me, I'll spill the beans. Dr. Aram has done some extensive studies on this, and I'm sure there'll be more coming from her end in the academic, medical field on this topic. But I'm really excited that she has, because it makes her tell us things that are not just, oh, I feel like this, but there are things that have been studied and things that have been proven. Now, can you explain what workplace burnout is and how it differs from regular work stress? What are the key signs someone should look out for? Because you're right, we all can be stressed. Sometimes even just the sheer traffic, or if you have children, a crying baby, or if you run short, or you went to the market and things were a little higher than normal, then suddenly you're stressed. So what's the difference between the regular work stress and then workplace burnout? And what should we look out for as signs of burnout in ourselves and our colleagues as well?
Okay, so when it comes to stress, stress is anything that causes, for the layman's understanding, like a hyperarousal. So, for instance, getting a new job at work and all of those things are stress. I think getting a new job is stress. The anxiety, accompanied, what are your expectations at the place and all of that. I don't know, doing new things comes with some level of stress. Your cortisol levels go up, the hormones that regulate your fight or flight, they all go up. So that's stress. And typically it occurs for a period of time. It shouldn't be for a long period of time. So, when you're stressed for a short period of time, then you get better and then you're able to self-regulate and come back. But when we talk about burnout is more like the stress has stayed for a long period of time, such that your mechanisms to overcome the stress have been depleted. Okay.
Mhm.
So when we look at stress, there is normal stress, but we should call eustress, and then there's distress. Distress is like bad stress. So either a very, very bad occurrence has taken place, or you realize that even good stress that stays for a long period of time without any coping mechanisms become bad stress, you see.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we look at, there's a graph that I
Okay.
saw that looks at arousal at
Okay.
the workplace. Okay. So hyper arousal and then under arousal. So let's see, under arousal is at one end of the spectrum and
Okay.
hyper arousal on the other end of the spectrum. Okay. So when you are under aroused, okay, then you are bored. So for instance, you're at a workplace, there's nothing stimulating you.
No
So
motivation,
no
no
motivation. You go to
exciting projects.
and you're just bored. There are no challenges at work.
It
And
doesn't
then
mean
as
that the work is not a lot. It just means you are not
no,
getting.
no. You're not stimulated. So for instance, if you are maybe mentally overqualified for a position you're offering, you're
Okay.
working at, and you don't have any new challenges, nothing to learn every day, you might become bored at work. And if you don't take it, you may take the work for granted, because there's nothing new that you're learning. And
Mm.
then once the challenges start to build up, you start to get engaged, you start to get involved in what is going on, you start to have more ideas, yeah, stimulated. And this is like the average normal person that likes work or that likes doing something. And then as you get engaged over time, when the arousal increases, you get challenged. So now you are challenged to do things. You're interested, you are coming up with ideas, you're pushing, you're pumped, basically. So when you are challenged for a long period of time and there's no rest, and then the arousal increases or the stress levels increase, then you get fatigued,
Ooh.
become tired. And so that's when people, realize that they're tired at work. It's like they've given their all, there's no more, and then they just get fatigued. So as time goes on, it's like they sort of disengage.
Mm.
So they just stop caring as much. Everything is just going on around them and they're not as engaged as they should be. And
Mm.
over time, you realize that people start developing anxiety when the arousal is so high and it has gone on for a long period of time. So people get anxious with work and they get anxious with work meetings whenever there's a meeting, and then they are already anxious because they've
Mm.
gone up, they've been over aroused, and then
Mm.
now it's like there's so much arousal and no coping mechanisms or no ways to meet up with the arousal. So that's when you are burnt out. It's at that
Wow.
point you're burnt out. Yes.
I like what you said about the fact that people may get anxious about meetings. And it's not that they've done something wrong or they haven't
Yes.
done the report right. They are just tired.
Yes.
Like they don't have anything to use to combat the good
Yes.
stress that would have helped them be pumped and prepared for those meetings or going to work. Or that means that one of the signs is that if on a Sunday night your heart goes like for working, it's possible. I
Yes,
like you are
possible.
shaking your head, but it's not the only thing to look out for.
Yeah.
How can we tell if a colleague, because I think this is one of the reasons why Calm Hearts, Calm Minds is set up. There are mental health challenges. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
everybody has a mental health illness or everybody is stressed by something mentally. But because there are
Yeah.
mental health challenges, there are also mental health victories. And that's what we are set up for, to make mental
Yeah.
health victories more accessible, more relatable, and more relevant to the everyday Ghanaian, everybody in our society. So how do we identify burnout in, say, a colleague? And some of us are not medically, inclined. So we only have what we see and hear. What are some of the things we should look out for when it comes to our colleagues who may be suffering from burnout?
Okay. So there's always that person at work that probably comes already flustered. And then they come, and then in the beginning of the day, they are tired, they are fatigued. They can't get anything done. They're not able to concentrate, and then they're always complaining that I'm tired, I'm tired. Then they start to have some muscular tension and all of that. They complain about headaches all the time. They probably come and say, oh, I wasn't sleeping during the night and all of that. Those are things that if the person is close enough to you, you would notice, or
Mm.
they would tell you. You realize how they react to even some seemingly small issues
Mm.
physically. And then psychologically, some of these people may be depressed. You notice that they have a lot of anxiety. Some will be very irritable, something small and they want to bite someone's head off. Or any small challenge is like, nope, they cannot. And they are so
Mm.
upset with everything, with the system. There's nothing good that's coming out of that. And then if they're sitting next to you, if you make the wrong move, they'll give it to you immediately. They are just irritable. And then you realize that they become pessimistic.
Mm.
They feel like nothing good can come up of their day. They feel very overwhelmed. Yes. And then over time you just realize that their productivity reduces. They are no longer interested in coming to work. So sometimes there's absenteeism, sometimes even
Mm.
without notice, the person just cannot get up and go to work. And then there's no interest at work, reduce initiative. Realize this person used to do a lot, but now all of a sudden they're not like as interested in doing what they used to do. So work performance decreases, their relationships suffer with their work colleagues, sometimes their relationships at home, and then they have very, very, very bad mood swings. Horrible mood swings. Today they are happy, then the next day biting someone's head off. So if these are your colleagues and they're close to you, you begin to notice some of these things, then
Mm.
these are signs that the person may be burnt out. And it's not just from work, as human beings, we don't live in a vacuum. We
Mm.
live in a community. So stress can be coming from home, stress can be coming from plenty places, and unfortunately, if person is not able to compartmentalize, then it's like everything just spills over, especially when it's overload, when there's an overload, everything just spills over, and then there you have it. The person is spent out at work
I
in the
like
beginning of the day.
in the beginning of the day. It's not just beginning of one day, beginning of every day.
Oh, every day. Like every day is a bad day.
Every day is a bad day. I like what you said about being close to someone, because sometimes you look at this and say burnout, but it's not really about that. It's you can see the change from what they were and what they are now.
Yes.
And those are
Yes.
some of the things to look out for. So now that you've told us what burnout is, how we can feel it, and how we can see it in others, what are some of the most effective strategies individuals can implement in their daily work lives to prevent or recover from burnouts? Yeah.
There are some tips. And you know the thing, like I say, when the stress goes on for a long period of time, that is when burnout steps in. So if an individual learns how to take breaks, and taking breaks means rest, okay? Sleep well at night. An average adult needs about 8 to 10 hours of sleep, give or take.
8 to 10. Looks like
Yes,
that.
and typically the I realize that women end up like needing more. So we are closer to the 10 hours spectrum. We are closer to the 9
Oh.
to the 10-hour spectrum. So if you have good rest, or you're able to sleep well at night, you realize that you wake up the next day a little more refreshed. So the person who is sleeping better at night every day feels more positive about the next day. So it's very important. It's a tip that you should implement every day. So you sleep well as much as possible. The sleep should be uninterrupted as much as possible. And then take breaks like vacation. Okay, if there's a leave, take it. When you have leave days, take the leave days. Some people want to work. They're like, oh no, if I go on leave, I'm not even used for anything. Please, the rest is important. Okay, already most corporate places don't give that many leave days. Maybe it's 20 working days or something. Take it. And for some people, the leave days work better when they take it in doses. So for instance, they won't take 20 working days at once, but then they take a few days every month, or a few days every 3 months. And then it helps to balance things, because the rest is important. Vacationing, doing something fun, having a hobby. So most people do not do anything apart from work and sleep. So most people don't have anything that stimulates them or makes them happy. So when you have like any short amount of time, try something, go somewhere, do something different from what you usually do. It really helps to sort out stress. If there's any problem in the workplace, it's almost always better to tackle the problem head on rather than let it simmer. So usually when you are burnt out, that is when it looks like you're overreacting to something that is seemingly small. But if you tackle issues or misunderstandings head on, like immediately it happens, you're able to regulate and able to talk about it. It helps to reduce the stress, the emotional stress, especially on you. Okay. Exercising and eating well. Highly important. They underplay the importance of exercise. Just go for a walk, brisk walking, running, something. When I was in secondary school, we noticed that the best performing students were always those who are involved in some sports.
We're like athletes as well.
Yes, the best performing students. And it was crazy. The people who were not performing as well, those were, not as active in the class, or really struggling with understanding things that were being taught in class. You realize that even though it looks like they spend more time learning, they are almost always more tired, and they are almost always struggling. But then those who are able to take a break, do some sports, do something invigorating, run. Nowadays people are running, millennials are running all over the place. It's really good. Brisk walking, even if you don't have money to go to the gym, just walking around your neighborhood is very helpful. very, very effective. Eating well, very effective. Having like 3 square meals a day, something
Mm.
nice, something healthy that you can eat so that you'll be able to be healthier on a large scale. Yeah, these are some of the things that you should be able to do. And then also meditation and relaxation, learning how to relax, meditate on your day. Sometimes you just shut down and relax, try do
Chill.
something to relax you.
Yes,
So,
chill. I love
yes,
what you said about the food. That's something nice. Because sometimes your food can be stressful. Like you look at the dish and like, why?
I don't want to eat
Something,
this.
I don't want to eat this. So something healthy,
Oh.
but something that you like as well. So sleep, rest, go on leave, exercise, eat well. It's almost like the basics that we are taught in how to have a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle from like what, class 3. So I think it
Yes.
really hold. I remember a time when I actually couldn't sleep too well, and I signed up for a gym just so that I could go walk. I just go to a treadmill, walk, and then come back and sleep. And it made such a huge difference. Another
Yes.
time too, I was with a colleague and we had met at a conference, and she mentioned how for her on Saturday mornings, that's her time. Everybody in her house knows that that's her time. She's in a room doing. I was like, that was so like, wow, you do that? In fact, first of all, who has time to do that? And I
Yes.
came home and I tried it, and it makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
Yes, most Saturday mornings, you just find me on my bed doing anything and everything, but just get up and no, that happens after 12. So I learning how to rest and relax is a personal style, but also a personal decision. So
Yeah.
really happy about this. So isn't there some other magic somewhere, like some potion, like sprinkle something on us? Or, I feel like these solutions are simple.
Yeah,
Do
they're quite
they
mundane, but
actually work?
yes, they do. And once you make it your lifestyle, you would be amazed at the improvement in your life and the improvement in how you regulate. I have a friend that works a lot, but then this person makes time for sports. And the exercise really, really helps them regulate,
Mm,
and it's very important. A lot of us as grown-ups, as individuals, we say we don't have time to do anything apart from work. That is when you realize that you are unhealthy already.
mm,
You're not healthy enough. There are so many things that come into play with a sedentary lifestyle. You're at risk of getting all sorts of diseases like hypertension, diabetes, because all of these things they exist together. Okay.
mm.
Or if you have a sedentary lifestyle and you're always stressed and all of that, you don't eat well, you don't exercise enough, you don't move around enough, you realize I start to gain weight, start to have issues with cholesterol. Cholesterol buildup leads to hypertension and diabetes. It's just a vicious cycle.
Which
And
also
then you're
makes stress
more
feel
tired.
worse than it should
Yes,
be.
getting
Wow.
more tired and all of those things. So they may seem mundane, but these are things that if you do every day, you realize that you have a better life. And some people think, oh, it's when you have money that you can go to the gym, when you have money that you can do all these things. But things are not things that you have to wait until you've gotten money before
Mm.
you do that. You have to just prioritize yourself and then spend time with yourself and do healthy things to really help.
It's interesting because every time I've worked in a place that had a lift, I've always had colleagues who'd rather use the stairs because that helps them move. And sometimes you actually walk to go and buy lunch instead of sending someone because it helps them walk as well. It's
Yeah.
very interesting how these simple things actually work. It's nice to know because I've tried it before. I wouldn't know if I was clinically burnt out or not, but yeah, there've been stressful times in my life where I've chosen sleeping more, sleeping better, taking breaks in small, small thoughts. For me,
Yes.
has worked for me before. In fact, at a point, I realized I could not go a quarter without taking a day off. And it may not be anything extra, just be at home, draw, watch a movie, bake a cake,
Yeah.
like anything, not even just sleep. and it
Yeah.
helps a lot. Let's move to the wider team. How can managers and team leaders create a work environment that reduces the risk of burnout for their employees? What specific actions can they take?
Okay. So most most managers do not realize, especially sometimes in the Ghanaian corporate world, that if your employees are happy and healthy, you can have better productivity. Most people feel like if you work people to the bone and you make them stressed, that is when you will get the best. But then no, it doesn't work that way. Typically, if your people have the time and the tools they have to execute the projects you're expecting them to, then you will have increased productivity, and then your employee wouldn't feel stressed or burnt out. Okay, so just ensure that they have the time and the tools that they have to get their work done.
Okay.
So yeah, setting up your timelines, whatever the amount of time that, and everybody is different. That's one thing that is very important. Every individual at your company is different, and that's why you should have a very robust HR team, because HR, ideally, I mean, based on what I understand, it should be for the employees and not necessarily like what soldiers of management. They should be able to try and communicate some of the issues that the employees are facing to management. So giving your people time and the tools that they need to get their work done, and giving them opportunities to communicate about their work so that they can give you feedback and tell you that these are my constraints, this is what I'm struggling with, and all of that. Once you have people who are interested in the work that they are doing, and you hire well, you make good hires, then you trust them enough to do the work. You understand? You trust that their assessment of whatever project you've given them is right. So you just provide them with the tools and then let them do the work. And then also give them some control over how the work gets done. Okay. So
That's
for instance,
interesting.
some people micromanage their employees. No, I want it done this particular way. If it's not done this way, no. But why don't we prioritize the results over the method? Okay, so you need work done like what within this amount of time. Once the person is a diligent worker and they're able to get you your deliverable by the time that you need it done, and it's done well, you shouldn't really concern yourself too much about how the person did it. So you shouldn't be like, oh, you must start at maybe 9 per every day and spend this number, and then be micromanaging the amount of time that they use to get your work done. Some people they are very, very different. Some people work better at different times of the day. So just give them the time and then make sure that they get your deliverable to you, but then do not police the method. Okay, always reward and recognize. If someone does a good job, recognize it, reward it. It builds up a team spirit. Everybody they feel like, oh, the work I'm doing is recognized, or the work I'm doing is relevant, or it's something that people are seeing. It really does well to boost people's self-esteem and all of that. Once you create a community of people, and the people who work feel like there's a sense of belonging, it really helps. Okay. It really helps them to feel that, oh, okay, so when I have challenges, I can come up to my boss or come up to whoever, my manager, and discuss with them. So once they feel like we are together, there's a sense, some workplaces say, oh, we are family, but they are pulling the family card to make do things that are not within your not like within your contract or not in your purview. But no, not like that. Don't go and use sense of community to toxic, like to make the environment toxic. Not at all. Just give them chance, and then there should be fairness and opportunities. Everybody should have the chance to get opportunities. So for instance, whenever there's an opening, make it open, let people apply. Do you understand? Even within the work space. And then when someone gets it, people can recognize that this person has worked hard for it. You get it? Everybody can work hard for a better opportunity. Everyone can work hard for a promotion. But if people feel like there is some sort of nepotism or favoritism in the office, it can increase stress and it can reduce the interest that people have in moving forward, you know. And then one very important thing is let your people understand what they are doing. You know, you have to share your values as a company, where you are going to with your employees. So once they buy into the vision, they can actually help, you know, because that way they feel like they are part of it, you know, they are part of whatever it is that you are building. So just share the vision, make sure that they understand where the company is going. Have I've had regular check-ins. So yes, I have a friend that she even works in HR, but she has a manager. The manager has 2 meetings with her. So when they were hiring, they asked her what are her goals, what does she want to achieve maybe after a year of working there. And the manager asked, how do you want us to help you to achieve this? This is not only for the workplace, but generally, how do you want us to help? So when the manager gets any opportunities that are linked to whatever goals that this girl has, then she's able to give them over to her and then help her to be able to achieve some of these goals. So it's very important. Sometimes you do not know enough how to manage people in the workplace. Managing is not always about making people fear you. You know, getting best out of your employees that's what management is. And so yeah, these are some of the things that management, the managers can put in place, you know, to help their employees get better. Yeah.
Wow, I've seen a lot of things that maybe I've taken for granted, and many may have taken for granted as well. So you go to a company, the vision is there, the targets for the year on the walls, and it's like, hey, these people are very result oriented. But it is also one of the ways that we can actually reduce burnout, because people have a sense of direction where we are
Yes.
going, what we need to do. Versus someone come and say, do this a little quickly, they already know where the figures are. So they know that if they do it quickly, they may have more time than versus my boss is such a annoying person. They want me to do it quickly, you know.
Yeah.
I love also what you said about allowing people's other talents. You're hired for purpose, but some people have other talents. And a big shout out to all my employees who've done this for me, where I can bring my skills that are outside what I'm employed for to work. It reduces burnout. And even the structures on giving people opportunity, it now makes me understand why I've worked for some companies where if there's a role, everybody who wants to be there applies for it. It sort of proves that you work for it, as you said. So it's amazing how a lot of the things in the corporate workspace, policies are actually supposed to protect us from burnout. And yet workplace tends to be a big place for burnout. So I'm excited to come back to talk with you some more. We're going to go on a quick break, and then we'll come back and expand this a little more. For those of you who have just tuned in or just need a little reminder, this is Calm Hearts, Calm Minds. We try to make mental health victories more relatable, more relevant, and more accessible to our society. So yes, looking forward to coming back to you, Dr. Aram, and thanks so much. This is interesting. Welcome back, Dr. Aram. Welcome back for everyone who is listening to this. And if you are listening to this on 10th October 2024, this is World Mental Health Day. And we are excited to expand the topic, the theme of the year. It's time to prioritize mental health at the workplace. And one of the things that is a buzzword and unfortunately a huge reality for many is workplace burnout. So we are trying to combat it in this conversation with Dr. Aram, a resident psychiatrist. And she's not making noise about the work she's done in this space. But I'm really, really happy to have her here because I know she knows her stuff. And she's done some studies. I come from an academic background, so I know how hard that can be and how intensive and how thorough that is as well. So yes, it's great to have you. We have talked a lot about identifying burnout in ourselves and others, colleagues, friends, how team leaders can also create a space where burnout is not the norm. At least you reduce the things around that make people burn out. Let's zero in now into work-life balance. A lot of people struggle with work-life balance, period. And some people call it different things, work-life harmony, work-life life, and like, but I think we get the general concept of having work that probably takes 8 hours and more of your day. And if you add traffic in places like Accra, then it's like another 4 hours sometimes. I've worked in this way, it took me 4 hours commute every day each time I went to work. And now there's remote working for some. So a lot of companies are now doing full remote jobs, some of these programming stuff. There are other companies that have the hybrid and have been so since the COVID era. And there are some that are just returning to work. People are just coming back to the 5-day week, or it used to be working 3 days from home and now it's 1 or 2. So please tell us more, what practical steps can individuals, now this is not the team, individuals establish to create healthy boundaries between their work and their personal life, especially with an aim to just reduce the chance or the occurrence or the longevity of burnout?
Yes. So, okay. When somebody being burnt out at work, most of the time, I mean, once you have maybe a large crop of employees being burnt out at work, most of the time it has to do with some of the management, most of the time, when you have a large group of people. But when you come to individuals, especially in people going back to work, the difficulty is that a lot of people feel burnt out when they feel as if maybe they do not have a say in how things are done. So for instance, you're a company and you have established, you've been doing work from home for maybe since COVID, so maybe the past 4 years, and then you feel as if you want to come back to work. But giving your employees the opportunity to have a say in how this is done will, will largely reduce the burnout for a lot of them, or how to slowly integrate it.
Dr. Aram, let me cut you here. I am intrigued and amazed at how some of the things that we have taken for granted are actually almost like by design to help us adjust. Because I worked in places where the work from home changed, and yet they gave employees a chance to choose the day they can work from home. Like, it's not like everybody must come on Monday and Friday, and others too also created a structure that everybody could adjust to. So yes, we will all come in on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but Thursday and Friday, you can work from home, but A, B, and C. Like, it's amazing how, actually, like, I'm getting goosebumps. So some of these little things that we see in an email feels like, but it's actually
super worrying us.
but it's actually helping us reduce burnout, because some of us may not have a say in how many days. You can find out why have given us a room to decide which days. I mean, continue. I'm just happy.
Just something that we know.
I'm happy because the place that feels like it's that stress. Yes, the place that feels like that stress actually have a lot of things in place that are helping with it. So please continue. I couldn't about victory, so I'm pointing that out.
So if you find that, first of all, you have to be diligent about your work. Okay. If you're not interested or diligent about your work, everything will feel like it's difficult. Even when best practices for management are coming in, you will not be interested. And if you're at that point, then why are you still there? Why are you still there?
Because
So
jobs
for
are
instance, if
hard.
why are you still there? If you are coming
Mm-hmm.
into work, you are trying to work, maybe you're working from home and then you're coming back into work, you should demarcate time. So if you're working from home, demarcate time. If your
Mm.
work is 9 to 5, let it be 9 to 5, not 9 to 5, and then then the
8:30, then
weekend,
9.
midnight, then 10 a.m., whatever a.m., all of those times. Do you understand? So if you want to try and demarcate, let there be a strong demarcation about the amount of hours you are working, whether you're working from home or like from the office. Okay.
Mm.
And then also you have to when you're going back into the workforce, like you're working from home and then you're moving back to the office, you have to try and change your schedule a little bit. Okay. You
Oh.
have to be a bit more flexible. Okay. So now there's a new thing. I go to work at this time. And so you may have to sleep a little earlier than you used to. Make some changes to what your structure is during the day so that you can ease yourself. So a lot of people are very hard on themselves. You want to still do what you were doing before when working from home. And then now that you're moving back into the office is a challenge. Okay.
Mm.
So you make your plans around that. Like you just make your plans around that. If you're working from home, don't work on your bed. Okay. Make sure that you don't work on your bed. Don't work in bed. You get up, you get dressed, wear
Mm.
something, sit at a table and work. So you know you are working. Then you get up, lunch break, you get up, go and roam or do something, come back on time. Time management skills are very, very, very important. These are things that
Mm.
will help to reduce burnout so that when it's time for work, you are working. Like things like your phone and other things are not distracting you. So you can be as productive during your day. You set your targets for the day and you're productive during the day. Sleep early. Sleep early as much as possible. If you were working at home and then now you're going to the office, looking at the traffic situation, you might have to set off earlier
Mm.
than usual. So you have to like sleep early, wake up early, try to set up early so that you don't spend as much time in traffic because all of these things add to the burnout. All these things add to the issues. Some companies struggle with their employees. Like for instance, there was a company I gave a talk at, and they were all complaining, like, hey, talking. But I went into their policies and I realized that the company had certain structures in place for them. Like there's a lot of support for the people. There's a lot of like their benefits like health insurance and all of those
Mm-hmm.
things that the people are not
Very helpful.
actually making use of. They're not making use of. They have days off that they are not taking. And unfortunately, when it happens like that, you shoot yourself in the foot
Mm.
because, like you said, some good corporate spaces, by the way, not all of them may be excellent, but then some are trying to put things in place. So if you are able to fall in line with some of these things, you will reduce your burnout if you are not too critical about the systems or the structures. You will struggle. Like you do much better and you'll not be as burnt out as you usually are. Okay. So the
Mm.
move from working from home to the office is always challenging. But
Mm.
then if you extend yourself some grace and then you make some changes, once you are interested in working, otherwise you have to
Yeah.
check, are you interested in working? So
Mm.
these are some of the things. Yeah.
I like what you said about extending grace to yourself and adjusting. Sometimes when for those of us, and I'll unapologetically say I love working from home, although I'm also now I have to admit I'm enjoying the balance versus the times where I was mostly at home. That also comes with a different vibe. Um, Sometimes I remember the times I forgot to give myself grace. And when you said like sleep early, because you wake up early, you would spend time getting ready
Yeah.
ironing a dress, wearing it, change for me something you wear, like, no, this is not looking good. You have to change it, give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
So that means that you cannot go to bed at, say, 12 or 10 when you know you are going to wake up at 4 or 5, especially knowing that we now have the 8 to 10. Me, I was no 6 to 8. First was 5 to, but anyway, I mean, the experts have spoken. And then even just at the point that to let go of the fact that I can't do everything that I used to. So I'm really happy that you mentioned a lot of people became bakers and chefs during lockdown. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like people were doing lasagna and bread. First bread is still bread. You go and buy it. The person will pass or you go to the store, but people were baking. And now you're going to work and you find out that you really miss baking. But if you do it every day, something will happen to you. You break down.
Yes.
So I know someone who's scheduled time with her family. Once a month, they have a period where they do stuff that they used to do during like the lockdown era that they enjoyed. So I'm glad we brought this up because a lot of companies are going back to work and some companies are still doing the hybrid and some now there's a rise of companies that just do the whole fully remote. So the demarcation
Yes.
is important.
The
Um,
demarcation is very important.
and guys, it works. I remember when I had my child and I would feel guilty that I'm working. Sometimes I just started to work. They'll come and knock on the door. So I found it refreshing that when it was 12, I would get up, move from the environment that I was in. And it was not taken, but I had a table, thankfully, although the bed, I'll not talk about that. Let's just say I'm learning. Move and
Yeah.
take time and spend time with the kids. And
Yes.
sometimes there'll be nothing that repeating, listening to some songs that like, can I really listen to something else? But leaving and coming back, I will actually return to work at one more refreshed. So the demarcation
Yeah.
is important. I could rehash everything you said because I have practiced and failed at almost all of them before. I know the benefits, and I hope those listening, this Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, would find benefits in it too, or add some. I mean, some you are doing well, so just stick some, add some. As they say in my one of my local balances, now I'm the one saying a lot of meat does not score the soup. So if you are mastering one, add a few more tips. Um,
Yes.
can we move to our next question about us? We finally understood some of the signs and the symptoms. We've finally seen that it doesn't mean that if someone is pessimistic, they are suffering from burnout. Maybe they are just more
Yeah.
pessimistic than most people, but we can see the change in
Yes.
people
Yeah.
and we recognize that we or a colleague are experiencing burnout. What do you think should be the first steps towards recovery? Like the first things? You've mentioned a lot, but what are some of the first things? And what resources and support systems can they seek out? And please let me emphasize, a lot of corporate spaces have some of them call it employee assistance programs, some of them call it mental well-being or well-being programs and stuff. They're literally being paid for by the company, like health insurance.
But
And
no one is using them.
I should log in so that you see I logged in. But sometimes like you'll tell us anonymous, like I is not, but it's amazing the wealth of information, some of the tips you're listening today. Some of them are in so many of those portals. Like aside these things that companies provide, what can individuals do? Support systems, resources. What are some of the first steps too that they can do? And how can we help our friends? I mean, it's not just every colleague that you can, hey, let me help you solve the
Yeah.
burnout. But if there's someone we can approach, what are some of the things
Mm-hmm.
we can do? Because yeah, some of our colleagues are suffering and some of us are suffering too. First step.
Okay. First steps. Okay. So it all depends on the relationship you have with the person, first of all. And finding a way to talk to the person about it is very important because some people can become defensive and some people may not appreciate your so-called intrusion into their life. So it all depends on what
Nosy.
relationship what relationship you have with them. Okay. If you are very concerned and yeah, you're a very good friend, I mean, it will be good to schedule time out of the office, not necessarily to talk about why they are bent out, but
Mm.
just to have a conversation. So, oh, I'm inviting you for lunch today. I mean, oh, can we go for lunch together? Can we go for coffee together? Can we try this together? So, where as a person, so if the person is really your friend, you'll notice that, oh, the stories will come out like as part of your conversation. Okay. But if this is someone that you're not close to, or is your boss or your supervisor or somebody, that's why HR is there. Okay. So like I always see, in a good corporate environment, a very good HR that is actually robust about the management of the people, the human resource, it's a good resource, the HR itself. So if you go to them and then you tell them that, oh, this and this is what I have noticed, that I think you should probably step in, or how. It's not like you're reporting the person to HR. The HR is a very good HR. They would have ways and means of handling it, you know. They'll have ways. I went for a screening recently, and I was having a discussion with someone who was working in the corporate space, and she had, well, it wasn't work that was burning her out, but then she had multiple bereavements. Okay, so she
Oh,
lost her mom and then lost her dad, and then lost an uncle within a very short period of time.
wow.
So her manager just called her and told her that no, the way things are going, even before her coming to work and having serious issues, you know, she even threw herself into her work to sort of cope
To
with
help
the
distract
challenge.
yourself. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But then they just arranged for her to have psychological support.
Oh,
And
that's
people
nice.
should understand that these systems put in place in the corporate space, it's for your well-being. Okay. One of the issues we have with mental health in Ghana is a stigma.
Mm.
So you think if you are seeing a psychologist, I mean, it means there's something wrong with you or something.
Oh,
But everyone should have a
you're
therapist.
not fit to work.
Everyone should have, or you're not fit to work. Everyone should have a therapist.
Or
Everyone
they are
should have
trying
a
to
psychologist.
prove that I'm not fit to work. Whereas they're actually trying to
We
help
have
you
to
become fit to work.
take these things out of our minds. So
Mm.
education, like what we are doing now, having
Mm.
the discussion about it, is very important. If you are lucky enough to be in a workplace that has mental well-being as something that they are prioritizing, then go for it by all means. The people who are there, I believe they are professionals, is going to be anonymous and whatever. So first point of call, if it's your friend, I mean, you can invite your friend out and all of those things. If it's out of your hands, go to the HR departments and let them find ways and means of reaching out to the person. Okay. Some people may not take your suggestion of enrolling in some of these wellness programs as like they will not be interested in taking your suggestion. But then if you have all of these people who work for the employees, you know, all these employees' rights and all these good, very, very good HR systems that are now in the corporate spaces, I mean, they will find a way. So you can just talk to them and then they are able to find a way. Not everything is within your capacity as an employee. But if the person is your friend, by all means, you just invite them out, give them a shoulder to cry on, like a place, someone to communicate with. Because a lot of the time, just people being able to talk about their issues helps a lot. Okay, but if the person is not your friend, the person is your boss or your manager or something, and you are really concerned, I mean, if the company is one that is interested in helping people, then you can link them. You can link them. There are so many private psychological firms that are around. There's a long list, so I think I will send it to you and then you can post it later on. But most of the times people find that these are expensive, especially to
Mm.
go private. So if you look in your health insurance and it covers mental health, that's another thing that we are fighting for. But some companies have very good health insurance that covers mental health. So you can go on your insurance. I mean, make use of the insurance because it's paid for. Yeah.
It's
And
already
then
paid for.
it's paid, you get it, and do something, I mean, for yourself. It really helps. Yeah.
I like what you said about removing the stigma from our own minds. Sometimes the stigma just starts with us. Nobody has told you you're crazy. Nobody has
Yeah.
said that we will tell you. You've already like put it in your mind that if I go down this route, this is how I'll be treated. And for you know, nobody may know but you and maybe the HR person. So if anybody hears it, maybe be you complaining about it and they said I'm good, I'm crazy. And we do understand that workplaces are different and environments can be toxic. But then sometimes we have to check if the toxicity is also not from us and we are not just
Yes.
treating something that isn't there. That said, I think you know your environment more than any. That's why you can also be a friend. I think I love that. Give them a shoulder to cry on. I know I didn't had, I have a friend, and there was a time we're going through a particularly troubled time at work, one of the four places I worked, and we would call and we would vent, like,
Yeah.
and then at the end, we're like, we are Christians, so let's pray. And that comes to like that whole meditation and just calming yourself. We found that it really helped us through that hard time. And we become very good friends after that. But imagine at the point in time, most of our conversations are, but then because we knew that our outlook on life was important, we also came in with the fact that, that after all this, let's take it to God in prayer. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
Christian, but the other things that you can also do just by being a friend. So
Yeah.
I really
Very
like
important.
that and take advantage. Um, how do we also rope in like our family to help us with burnout or our some people are very involved in church or extracurricular activities, Toastmasters, PMI, chapters here, there, How 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 can we leverage these people or our interactions around these people to help us reduce burnout at work, whether it's the work causing it or something else. Like you said, somebody had multiple losses, so it did affect work as well. So,
Yeah. Okay, so when, like I said, human beings do not exist in a vacuum. Okay, so they are you're part of the church body, part of maybe some social clubs, then your family and all of those things.
oh, you have
Some
the
people
killing brothers.
some people struggle even, I mean, on the family front, you know. So having a conversation about it from the very beginning, that this and this is what's happening and it's stressing me out. It shouldn't be. Unfortunately, Africa, you should be able to carry everything. But then now, since COVID, things have drastically changed, and people are not able, just by design, because of the stress and everything, will not be able to cope generally. So, and now people are talking about it. Before, people suffer in silence. So if you have a family that's supportive, you have a lot of things going for you. So if, for instance, work is a little bit stressful, you need someone to take the children for a weekend, I mean, have that done. Okay. Get some time off for yourself. And some people now they have houses and they have like meditation rooms,
Hey,
small rooms, themselves, man caves and things, things that make you happy, as a couple, as a family, you can take some trips, do something fun together. I liked what you said about your friend having a what do you call it, some time,
Saturday mornings.
yes, Saturday morning for herself, or even when you have family day. So the children also go to school and your husband also goes to work or whatever is happening. But then this is a day where we all sit together and we spend time with each other. Some families emphasize on dinner time as a time to just sit and unwind together. But the issue is that these things don't happen by themselves. They have to be intentional. So everything that you are doing has to be intentional. If dinner time, it has to be intentional. Or let's spend time together as a family, or let's demarcate time off. as a family. So just try something different. Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't live your life will live you. You'll just be living you realize that you're not getting anything out of life. Okay. So if you have
Yeah.
a very good supportive family, you should have conversations. If things are overwhelming you, combining family life with work stress difficult, you should have conversations around that. You know, if your parents are alive, your siblings are alive, and there's people who can help you handle some of these responsibilities, handle the children. Most people, the difficulties juggling parenthood with work, all of that. But if you have family members who can help you, it's great. Church, church shouldn't be stressful. You know, church ideally should be ideally it should be a very good community, ideally. So if your church is one that has mental health at the forefront, and it's one that's a very, very good community of people, then it's very good to join, because once you are within a community of people that identify, because studies have shown that people who are struggling from mental health distress, okay, any form of mental health distress, they actually do better, like when they inculcate faith in their practices. So whereas somebody who believes in the supreme being, you know, they pray and they meditate and all of those things, they realize that they feel calmer. If you calm. Even in my practice, I've noticed that when you add, not that you add, but when you make it an option. So most people try to divorce, what do you call it? People's faith in spirituality from what do you call it? Psychological well-being, but then they are intertwined. So if the person does believe in a supreme being or has a specific faith, practicing of the faith can reduce burnout and stress. So it's very important being part of a family. Some people are part of clubs, social clubs, Rotary Club, Lions, and all those things. You know, it helps them feel like they are contributing to the world. So I mean, go for it. Do things outside of work, and leverage, allow yourself to enjoy the social capital that you have, the people you have around. Just make good use of them, and you realize that your life is so much fuller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we burden ourselves with guilt. We are breadwinners, we are homemakers, we are dutiful daughters,
Beautiful daughters.
dutiful son. Spencer, I remember, you know how Facebook now disgrace you and show you something that you wrote like 10 years ago. Like I said, Spencer in her parental home. Like, but we forget that we do have social capital, and we should use it. It's not about
Yes.
using people, but it's leaning into the community that so helps us. And it's amazing how simple conversations can help. Even with house chores, even with school runs, it doesn't always have to be you. And when you are tired, you are
Always
tired. Like, you are tired. The same way with having conversations at work. I have seen conversations at work help me manage my time properly, and help me even how I have some of these recordings. I do it at a specific time just to demarcate good time and have the best of life. So don't carry
yeah.
everything. I think we could go on and on and on and expand more and more and more, but I think our time is up, Dr. Aram. And we have gone through a lot of questions, and we have learned a lot, and we have realized that a lot of the structures in the corporate place are supposed to help us. So if
At
no
your
one is
day.
if no one is stopping you, use it.
Yes.
You'd be
Yes.
surprised how supportive people can be. Even some people may not react well, but at the end of the day, you create an environment that is better for you. Someone said, create an environment that you and everyone else would love to come and work in.
Or even start the conversation. Just start
Let's
the conversation.
ask, I cannot do the dishes tonight. I'm tired. Can we wait till tomorrow? Or can you do it for me? Or can I let the house help do it? Can we send the children to grandma's? Boss, can I extend the deadline from today to tomorrow? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like, ask. Sometimes the worst that will happen is that they will say no. you'll be surprised they will say yes, advocate for your own self as well and the mental health of others. It's been Calm Hearts, Calm Minds. We do try and make mental health victories like combating burnout more relevant, relatable, and accessible. I hope you have found this so, and I hope you continue to watch our episodes that will be releasing after this day. Proudly, I'm just excited. 10th October 2024 is here, and this year's theme is prioritizing mental health in the workplace. We've had Dr. Aram with us. Dr. Aram, if there were one thing you wanted anyone watching or listening to this to remember, I know there are many, but if there was one thing, what would it be?
Rest.
Hey,
Rest.
Rest.
Yes, rest. And rest doesn't only mean sleep, but your sleep is only efficient when you are actually resting. Some people are asleep, but they're not asleep. So rest also means doing fun things. Rest means exercising. Rest means taking time for yourself. Rest means relaxing, So just try to rest. Try as much as to rest. Take a break. It will really help. To help you balance, to help you regulate, and you become a more positive person like across board. So just rest. That's what I have to say. Rest. Life is difficult already. If you don't rest,
why suffer twice? The life itself is hard. You are not resting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aram. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and all those years of learning and all the studies you've done and distilling into something so simple for us. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We look forward to bringing you the next episode. This has been Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, where we try and make mental health victories like combating workplace burnout more relevant, more relatable, and more accessible to our society. Thank you, Dr. Aram. We look forward to seeing you again. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Calm Hearts, Calm Minds, and Innocence Heart Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and we hope you learned something new. We look forward to you joining the next episode. We can't wait to see you soon. Bye.